by Wukong definitely being the highest priority champions. But Rude, Trajan, we have champion select on our screens now. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you very much, Hawk. Let's take a look at what we've got. The standard bans coming through on one side, the Lucian, Nico, Harry. And they pick up a lot more in that mid lane. A lot of people going back to this more assassin-centric pick now.
Specifically with a static Shiv rearing its ugly head in the current mid lane meta. Fortunately, we are on 13-11 where it hasn't picked up quite so much traction, but I do look forward to seeing that one in a couple of weeks' time on 13-12. Melio, one of the notable absentees from the ban table, gets picked up by INTZ, and you can already see the CBLOL special here, the priority on Aphelios. So much stake put into Ninja Kiwi's ability to use the playmaking tools that Aphelios has from the early stages of this game. Try and find yourself an early advantage, and then of course have the fallback of immeasurable scaling.
Kabum themselves with the ever-present Wukong in jungle and a Yuumi locked in as it was open. Now there is no Zeri to pair with it, so we'll see what option they choose to go with here. The Aphelios taken away, and we'll address that if it gets locked in. But for INTZ, they have taken the Annie as well. We saw them hovering the Cassiopeia, Nosferus, one of the first to bring that one out in this split, but has gone to far and away the most successful mid laner in CBLOL so far in split, which is the Annie, as the Ezreal is locked in. Now, we've seen Raven do this once before. So far, Rude, we didn't see too much out of it. Do you think we're maybe going to see a little bit more here today?
I'm honestly not sold, because I think versus an Aphelios Melio, as much as Ezreal has poke to outrange, I'm looking at Cozy Campfire plus the Sniper Gun early on for Ninja Kiwi. You're very close to being able to match that range as an Aphelios. Hopefully we can see some pressure put down from Ninja Kiwi and Nia. And equally, would like to see Redbird and Raven give a little bit more from this Ezreal Yuumi. It's such a powerful 2 versus 2, goes quite a ways back in its tenure for the bot lane since even Yuumi's release. But as we look forward into this draft, we are missing a jungler for INTZ. Now we can see that they've already started to focus out Yampi's pool. He's already pulled out a Kha'Zix and a Nocturne so far, but with those two taken off the table, probably going to have to fall a little bit further into the champion pool. We're out of S tier by a long way, maybe even dropping out of the A tier.
Yeah, I'm looking for maybe see if he goes back to the Volibear that he's played once, that we did like what we saw out of that. We saw some good early success. Yeah, we've seen a couple of Viegos go a little bit crazy on the Rift in Split 2, but I'm afraid not. It is the Sejuani back again from Split 1, rearing its head again, as the Gragas was locked in for Kabum as well. Of course, mid-top flex on that side, and INTZ shaking up that top side matchup. We hyped up ZZK and Lonely in the 1v1, and ZZK's made a bit of a statement here in the draft.
This Gragas could be a flex pick. Now, this is an option to take it into the mid lane for the Gragas, and obviously this Olaf sort of bound to the top lane. I would love to see Lonely pilot this Jace, the Korean Jace in the top side, of course. Yeah. A bit of a meme for its presence in Brazil, but the Jace is going to have a much better matchup versus ZZK's Olaf than the Gragas would. We know that the counter pick in the top lane, even yesterday, was shown to be so high priority for INTZ, and now picking this Olaf volatile pick for sure certainly could have some repercussions if INTZ haven't planned around this Jace pick.
Yeah, I'm looking at INTZ's comp. I'm seeing a lot of things we have seen before. The Aphelios plus Enchanter, the Annie, an enabling jungler there. ZZK with something he can leverage some 1v1 dominance on, which is good since we saw yesterday he does have that in him. And then for Kabum, what I'm seeing is a comp that they've actually tried before, finally. We've done 3 comps in 3 games. Now we finally repeated one. We've got the Jace Ezreal setup back again. And now in that last time, I don't think we saw them leverage enough of that poke. There was a lot of scrappy team fights, not a lot of split pushing and poking from that side to really make use of these champions. So I kind of want to see a bit better of an understanding of how to use these champions from Kabum as we get into this game.
Hopefully set up around some mid-game objectives. Use that poke to your advantage, that 2-item spike where both of our carries, the Jace, the Ezreal, have got that mirror mana. Would likely be your big win condition, your big power point. But Hawk, we've got our drafts rounded out. What are your thoughts?
You know, gentlemen, all I know is that Aphelios has been picked in 11 games, and it has won 9 of them so far in the CBLOL, and coupled with Annie, these have been, I would say, the 2 strongest champions in the CBLOL so far. So it'll really be a test of how broken is Yuumi to see whether or not Kabum can overcome this INTZ draft.
Yumi does certainly seem to be causing some stirs. I think I saw some stats from the other regions, the other major regions, about Yumi just being unbelievably cracked, unbelievably high performing, and hasn't necessarily been as dominant, or at least as prevalent, I should say, in the CBLOL. There's been a lot more Lulus and occasionally strays into other types of supports down there. But generally speaking, the Yumi Milio, number 1 and number 2 on the priority list as we get into the Rift here for game number 1 on day 4.
And coming into today, Trajan, there's an interesting statistic that we've got to pull. INTZ, they're 2-1 at the minute. Now, this composition of players, this organisation rather, haven't actually won a 2-0 weekend since 2021. That's going back at least 2 years.
Wow.
And they are on the verge with the Aphelios, with the Annie, with being 2-1 going up against a 0-3. Potentially going potentially going to that 2-0 and breaking the curse that has plagued them for 2 years.
That would be a big mental boost to come through here. After already getting that win yesterday, when people, were starting to write them off already, like we've kept all the same 5 players, but we're not seeing improvement. What was the point of it all? Why are we still here? And then they showed us that game, and it was a win. It wasn't over Red, or it wasn't over one of these kind of championship contenders, but it was such a dominant, well-executed win that it finally gave us a bit of faith about this roster. And now they're up against Kabum, a struggling 0-3 Kabum, who have not yet worked out how they want to put their pieces best together. If INTZ come into this game as well arranged, as organized as they did yesterday, I think we could see that curse finally getting smacked.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and step in here, y'all, with the pause coming through. We're going to hope that gets sorted out very soon, but Trajan, you brought it up. Kabum, the pieces haven't really all fallen together, and oh, you're back underway. I was going to ask an analytical question, but maybe we just see whether or not they can have it come together. Good luck on the Rift, y'all.
There we go. Hawk getting his neck broken by the broadcast there. The games, the pauses, twisting it back and forth, but tossing it right back in to this first game. Okay, Rudude, hit me up. Where are we looking for the early advantages? Where are the early plays expected on this Rift here?
If it's not top lane, it's nowhere, and that's the unfortunate nature of these compositions. The only small thing that I want to point out here is that Nia actually has no flash. We see Summoner heal, Summoner exhaust. So if this Melio gets caught out with a bit of CC, that Melio is going to die without a flash to get out to safety.
Make sure we got all of our ducks in a row for game 2.
So that extra element alive.
Now, like you all talked about, the Law of X's will come in. We'll do RMC
because they are very much orchestrated toward a 2-item power spike. The Aphelios wants to get his mythic, wants to get his noon pivot item built up. The Ezreal likely going to want that Mirror Mana and Trinity Force to be finished. I actually love this from ZZK. We kind of have to highlight this. Zoning Lonely away from so much experience. There's going to be a bit of a race to get back to this wave to see who can get experience and who can juggle any minions.
ZZK holding fast in that Tri-Brush as well, maybe making sure there's no extra danger coming his way, but it's now coming behind the Jace, in fact, and Lonely, again, under pressure. The Undertows in point-blank range make that level 1 so scary, but the trade is fairly even across the board. So ZZK still feeling good, feeling confident after yesterday's dominant win, and Lonely now can have his run for his money in this lane for sure.
I really think that went poorly for ZZK. I think he missed Minion's experience by trying to stay in that Tri-Brush, trying to zone out Lonely. The Jace was able to get all 3 melee creeps of experience, dings level 2 at the appropriate timer, but I don't think it's the same case for the Olaf. I respect ZZK for trying to win the matchup when it's the only easy point for it to win at level 1 before the Jace has access to knock the Jinx back. And until level 6, this lane is going to be quite difficult for the Olaf on the top side. You can see the Ghost taken to try and offset a little bit of that as best as possible, but also seeing Lonely respect the power of this Olaf with the phase rush, knows that he doesn't have an ability to CC the Olaf when he turns into Ragnarok, instead giving himself that extra getaway potential.
Now Flawless knows that Yampi is here. He was spotted on just the last couple of seconds of that ward in front of the river entrance, so Kabum will know that Yampi is somewhere in the area, but Flawless still looking for an angle onto this Olaf potentially. Flawless is trying to not close enough. Lonely doesn't catch him with the slow from the skies. Play just fizzles in the end.
I don't think that they're particularly sold on where Flawless is at the minute. I'm not sure quite if ZZK was able to spot out the Monkey King as he made his appearance into that top side. And you can see that Yampi just stole away the big raptor, got a cheeky small one on the way out, but of course we're playing Season 12, so those chickens are going to despawn at some point and they will reset themselves. It's not as big a deal as it would have been in seasons gone by, where Flawless would have to go back, reset the small chickens themselves. There are going to be second respawn of raptors there for Flawless in just a little bit of time. And as we look at the spot side, you can already see Ninja Kiwi and Nia stepping up. They've got the wave in a beautiful position, just forcing Raven and Redbird to be a little bit conscious of how well and how far up they're actually playing this lane, knowing that Yampi could make an appearance without any vision.
And the poke from Ninja Kiwi is constant, going down to Raven, just knocking him down, chipping away at that HP bar one by one. The Ezreal has the good range, but with a nice stacked up minion wave, Ninja Kiwi with plenty of bodies to hide behind, managing this wave excellently so far. Ninja Kiwi, of course, a player that we have always been keeping an eye on ever since that debut on Renska a few splits back, and one of the strongest performers of INTZ in that early week when they were still struggling to make ends meet. He has definitely not slowed down and looked ever present, as strong as ever in that third game win. And still managing this lane very well. Flawless has been hanging around on the bot side for a while now, but now Yampi rocking up too. And again, plenty of good vision control by both sides, tracking these junglers well.
I remember what I said, if there's no action top lane, there's no action anywhere for the start of this game. We've got two enchanters down on that bot side. Finding these engages isn't going to be easy. You've got a couple of enchanters that don't have access to setting up kills all that well. But I do want to zoom out a little bit on the INTZ composition, look at what they've drafted for themselves. Hawk made a very valid point before we sent him to the Netherrealm whilst we got this game underway. There is an Annie and there is an Aphelios, both on the same side. The CBLOL specials that have had immeasurable amounts of success so far in the CBLOL, both on INTZ's side. Pairing that up with Emilio, a very powerful enchanter as well. I do favour their chances as we get later into this game in just a pure 5v5 scenario, if they can find an engage, if Yampi and ZZK can find their way into the backline and start causing some chaos.
Yeah, exactly. These pieces, the Aphelios, the Annie, even things like, the Sejuani coming back in, they've been the mainstays of this first few days. They've been so well utilized, so versatile across these comps, and just uncontestable in value across so many of these games. INTZ going to what they know works, what is proven to work. And after last game, we would potentially favor them in this game, showing that team play finally, showing they can leverage the carries, have the great supporting staff set up with Yampi and Nia. And ZZK putting on the carry pants as well as Crastiel. A bit aggressive. Tibbers immediately drops in response. Nosferus bouncing him back with the big Burning Bear. Down Ninja Kiwi getting excited in the bot side as well, burning across them with the Infernum, and Redbird jumps over lower. The exhaust slows him down. It's just a 2v2 kill.
And really well played by INTZ, just using a better timer to take a fight right there. Tier 2 boots for an Aphelios early on. Very, very powerful. You look over at Raven, he's got that sheen, but you want the poke to come out early on for an Ezreal. The difference between teamfight and laning phase, not all that different. INTZ now able to turn that into a dragon as well, with the pressure from the early mid trade as well. Nosferus did a great job putting the Tibbers down and keeping Crastiel at bay. You can see Kabum posturing here. They can't take this fight. They just need to walk away, lick their wounds, and accept that that 2v2 kill is too much to contest a dragon with.
Squeaky clean start from INTZ with the first blood gold and the Ocean Dragon, giving them that extra regen to make these lane trades just go even better. Only to walk into ZZK once again, checking that brush out. Takes a lot of damage from the Undertows again. Phase Rush gets him to safety, but now Olaf's starting to leverage a little bit more of that power in the 1v1 trades.
And we've reached the point in the laning phase now where ZZK is more than happy to start taking these prolonged engagements. You saw there the power that the W of the Olaf actually provides. Got a recent adjustment to his kit where that gives him a shield now, so he's mitigating a lot of the Jace's damage early on. And as you can see, with the plated steel caps on one side and the Tear of the Goddess on the other, Lonely is going to be dealing very little damage to the Olaf for the considerable for the foreseeable future.
I think just as we pan back to the mid lane, we saw Bindon is trading away there. The thing about Annie, right, Rudy, that really gets to me is we've talked a lot about Annie, and we're going to keep talking about it until it stops being so gosh darn valuable, honestly. But the fact that Tibbers was dropped in that mid lane trade, and then like a minute later is still there to push Crastiel away from the dragon fight, like this ultimate just lasts, feels like almost its whole cooldown, and can be part of multiple plays in one spell cast. Just so impactful to me.
Okay, now Ninja Kiwi's isolated on this bot side. Nia is in Narnia, and this should be an easy dive.
Got the separate crescendo, now goes for green and white gun, splashes away from the Cyclone, and Ninja Kiwi dances away to safety. It'll just be the Plague.
Early start there from Redbird. He takes aggro before his jungler is in position. Now, Flawless had flash to follow, had that have been orchestrated a little bit better. But INTZ, they're using the fact that there's a jungler on the bot side from their opponents to take this Herald once again completely for free. Neutral objective, the minion to start off with for INTZ, and they've taken the first dragon, now have this first Herald. Expect to see this used either in that bot lane or in that top lane. They've got 2 carries on either side. Getting gold into both of them is very valuable.
Exactly. Even though they're on vision, plenty of red wards on that top side river and in the pit, nothing that Kabum could do about it. Across the board, they are just kind of getting shoved around a little bit. Raven has built up some CS for himself, using the Ezreal range to his advantage, but the fact that they couldn't slow Ninja Kiwi down could spell disaster later on. The Aphelios been absolutely insane in the CBLOL so far, and Ninja Kiwi, one of our brightest up-and-coming talents, plus the Milio by the side of him with the double combat summoners. He's got everything he needs.
He's got full support from everywhere that he needs it. And I want to touch a little bit more on that mid lane point that you brought up earlier, Trajan, actually, because this stems into our junglers. I'm going to be looking specifically at Flawless and the timing of these fights relating to Tibbers. Now, if you're fighting around a neutral objective, you can kind of disregard what I'm about to say. This is just another trade where Castiel bumps away and should be absolutely fine. Yeah. But when you're looking at... Oh, hold on. Top lane are fighting as well. Good flash. Okay.
Impressive button's been pressed here, but it will just be even at the end.
Let me speak! Okay, I'm going now.
Are you? I'm not sure you are. Yeah, you may be thinking no. Alright, go now, quickly.
Okay, quickly. Flawless, smite Tib as if you're not around a neutral objective, because the amount of pressure that bear puts out, not just for the team, but zoning away things like Raven, zoning away Lonely, it's going to be so powerful, blocking skill shots, blocking all of the damage that is going to come through. If you don't have a neutral objective to smite, Flawless, it should be the Tibbers instead of a carry.
Okay, there we go. Alright, looking for Flawless to smite the Tibbers. We've got it out there, we've got the point out. Excellent. Okay, so INTZ now heading towards this bot side. Nosferus rotating through. The Herald dropped by Yumpy. Splitting the focus, looking for plates for Ninja Kiwi. Flawless is there just to make sure no funny business goes on. It's just gold in the end. Simple value achieved.
Exactly what we want to see. Funnel gold into an Aphelios. Aphelios will carry later on. Beautiful stuff. Ninja Kiwi, a proven carry for the INTZ roster, so no doubts that we expect to see him sort of leverage this a little bit more as we get later into the game. Now, again, dialing a little bit more into Ward where we could see some action for the future. We have got a flashless top lane in Lonely, so ZZK may well look for that, but bump in.
Yeah, Crastiel already used that escape tool, does have the flash ready, but there's a stun. The cast doesn't do too much. No lovely Glacial Prison will keep him locked down. Blocks the other bump. Can Yumpy finish it off with the flail? Crastiel, a flash from Annie, seals the deal with a trade back on the stack tower. That was a little messy to say the least. Just goes even in the end.
I want to say that INTZ played that absolutely beautifully. The Gragas just has too much HP and too much innate sustainability for that play to go any better. The stacked up damage was actually about 400 HP off of Nosferus there. I don't think he was expecting to go down to that turret shot. As far as how well INTZ played that, Nosferus spaced the Gragas barrel. Gonna get to see it again. This is beautiful. So as soon as the Gragas jumps in, okay, we go back now. Look at how well Nosferus steps back. Make sure he doesn't get hit by the cast. They layer the CC as well, and then Yumpy flashes in front of the belly bounce to escape. Everything went well for Nosferus. Look at how much HP he has here, by the way.
He's just down.
Excuse me?
The Interceptor headshot coming in from the mid lane tower there knocks him over. It is just a 1-for-1 as now we've got the Dragon being contested. Thor's working on it. Yampy's over the side, collapsing in INTZ. Picked up by the Wukong. Can he get away with his life though? He has flashed the thick part of the wall, but the rest of INTZ swarming over the jungle. And Redbird left out to dry. It's a 2-for-0. Both picked up by the Aphelios, and now Raven could be in a spot of bother under his tower. Another 4 members. Dive in the edge, really cleanses the ease. He fires up the Qs, but Ninja Kiwi finds a third.
Yeah, you can cleanse all you like there. In a 4v1 situation, you're going down, buddy, I'm afraid. Now, this is worth mentioning. There is pressure going to Lonely on the top side. He's getting a little bit of gold, and that's experience lead as well. 3 plates for the Jace, can't be understated. But overall, we're going to be very happy when our Aphelios heads into the mid-game with an entire turret amount of plates going into his back pocket. First turret gold solo, as well as 4 kills.
My word, the funneling on display right here. 4 open Ninja Kiwi. Let's see a replay of that fight. The dive that just kept on going.
Yeah, and Kabum, they get the Drake, and you can tell the immediate play is just to try and get out. Unfortunately, INTZ, they weren't happy with that as an answer. They would go for 1, go for 2, and then Raven under this turret. I think he just needed to base way sooner. Had already resigned his fate, unfortunately. And as much as you get mid push, you get top push as well. This is a play that is undeniably favourable for the INTZ side.
Yeah, the roster with the Aphelios on it, got all the kills on the Aphelios and the play. It's just a bit of a winning formula here in the CBLOL, honestly, in Split 2. As the gold lead has now extended above the 4,000 mark before the 14-minute stretch. INTZ feeling very comfortable and perhaps, you know, returning to what we kind of imagined them as in split number 1, a bit of a yardstick for struggling teams. If you can't beat INTZ, you are not tall enough to enter playoffs, and right now, they are kind of outclassing Kabum right now.
INTZ coming into week number 3, looking like they're going to be 3-1, breaking that 2021 curse of never going 2-0 in a weekend, and setting themselves up to also be a team that could potentially benchmark playoffs, not just as a team that you need to beat to be able to get in, but a team that could very well be a contender for the playoffs as well. They finished 7th in split number 1 of 2023, and with a 3-1 start, they could very well look to break that barrier of the 6th place. And I think joining what I would say are 7 other teams that are also looking to get into playoffs. Very exciting start to the CBLOL split.
Yeah, our CBLOL is becoming a bit of an inverted pyramid right now, honestly, Rudy. We've got a lot of good teams in this region, I would be happy to say. You see Flawless making a little journey into that bot side jungle. The lane swap has come through for Lonely, trying to burn through this tower. He will be able to do so without any contest. That leaves the second Herald wide open for INTZ. Value they can get out of this objective.
Again, it should just be more funneling into Ninja Kiwi. If you want to move him up to the top side, take that turret. If you want to put him in the mid lane and take the mid lane turret, I favour the latter for your mid-game point, because if you get the mid lane tier 1 down, it does a lot of gold, or it does a lot of work for you on the map. It means that you can move in and out of the enemy's jungle with a lot more freedom. You tend to be able to put down vision and set up these objectives that bit better. And of course, when you're playing up against a Kabum roster, lineup composition that have got a lot of poke, seeing where those skill shots are coming from, it's going to be a lot more favourable than if you can't.
You could see just on the gold you see on the screens right there, Ninja Kiwi almost 8,000 gold, over 3,000 ahead of Raven on the Eshel. And just look at the inventories, he's basically a whole item ahead already in terms of actual powers. Nosferus could be on the wrong end of 1 versus 2. Lonely comes in fast, trying to punish the flashes straight. A beautiful cast by Crastiel, serves up the Annie, and there's a kill for Kabum.
TP's into the mid lane to try and hold this turret. Now, the Herald is going to get the charge, but INTZ won't be able to take the turret. Nice little play from Kabum here, resting a bit more control over themselves on the map as Lonely gets himself a second turret now. He was funneled the bot lane 1, is now being given gold on the top side as well. A very much top side versus bot side game for us in the first one of CBLOL. We've got Lonely, who's been given a lot of money. He's got himself to that 2-item spike. Now, the Merman are not completed and won't be for a little while. If they can use this Jace, maybe expect to see them do good things with it.
If I'm a Kabum fan watching this game, it is a slightly uncomfortable mirror of the last time they tried to run this comp, where Lonely was doing great work on the Jace, getting really fed, getting really strong on a champion that can do a lot of damage, but Raven on the Echelon bot side falls behind, doesn't really hit that mid-game spike in time, and never really gets online to deal some damage. And we might be rolling towards a similar scenario here for Kabum, who have tried to opt back into a strategy they've tried before, but kind of seeing the same result.
It feels like both of these teams have played their games and are happy with where how they've played the start. Unfortunately, INTZ just have the better pieces that go later. And in fairness, they also found more advantages than they should have done. I think that Kabum gave over a little too much for the early stages of this game, obviously. Getting Raven Dove on that bot side turret where he probably could have escaped upon that dragon. And with the obvious lead that Ninja Kiwi has, it is going to be on Lonely, and it is going to be on Flawless, who's been facilitating the Jace to take down this Aphelios. Now, of course, you're doing that through Melio, through Flash Ghost, and through potentially several ults that are going to give him a lot of HP.
Committal of the ZZK once again pops the Ragnarok. It's enough to keep him alive, just about with a heal from Nia and the exhaust. Both combat summoners dropped. The top laner does walk away. Now, INTZ did secure their second break of the game as well with the Chemtech coming through here. And that clutch factor, that extra resistance and damage at low HP can be very scary for someone like an Olaf to have if they manage to lock up those buffs.
It's going to be scary for both of these teams. Every single Chemtech soul that goes either direction, when you've got enchanters on your side, It gives them that little split second longer to get a cooldown back up, to add an extra shield, add a little bit more healing to the low HP targets. And we did get to see just a little bit of a glimpse there of what the Emilio can do. We saw ZZK there on about 200 HP, and then within a split second, had a nice little shield, had an extra heal as well to take it back up to higher HP. Now, Nia didn't even bother with the ulti there, so you have to factor that could have been used as well. Plenty of cooldowns used by Kabum on that top side as well. But they did secure themselves a tier 2 turret, and in the grand scheme of things, if we look at the fact that INTZ is stacking Drakes, they're probably happy with that. But for the short time, Lonely getting a tier 2 turret split between both him and his jungler gives, again, more credence to this diving duo being able to take out Ninja Kiwi, and that is the goal for Kabum.
Exactly. That top side has been one of the more impressive parts of this roster in a rough 0-3 start. Flawless and Lonely have certainly been trying to make plays, trying to get ahead, trying to leverage any power that they have. And they are certainly going to have to leverage it here to get rid of Ninja Kiwi. He's got both his summoners. Nia at least got both the defensive summoners stripped away. If they can find a fight, maybe before those come back, they could have a chance, but there's so much still to break through. You can't forget ZZK. You've got to punch through Yampi, get around the NOS result. INTZ looking to contest this river now.
They've got 4 people up here. Lonely had teleport, so very real world where they can do this.
He finds the target of Raven, gets the cleanse away, but there will be no more brought down. Sejuani ultimate simply falls off without finding the kill. Ninja Kiwi once again with a team fight in guns. INTZ very confident, stepping up to the scuttler. As the Baron is up in 15 seconds. We could see an earlier one if they can find a team fight win.
They are trying to play for Lonely's teleport right now, make sure that that's out of the way, and then you can play on parity, because ZZK obviously took the ghost. Another engage here, Flawless has got clone.
It's away to the empowered Blascone as well, fires him halfway across the map, and we'll get to safety. Lonely still working, he's reached that bot lane tower now.
Yeah, he's going to be able to take that one down, but INTZ immediately start up the Baron. He's going to try and recall, get some items in the back pocket, then teleport back out to this fight and start putting some poke down. The Baron about 6k HP. No Muruman as yet for Kabum.
INTZ, are they going to peel off? Are they going to stick around? Nosferus trying to gatekeep Crastiel out. Flawless has arrived with Lonely in tow. Ezreal burns across them. The Gragas Sparrow slows them down, and INTZ peel away. The Dragon partially resets. Committal in from Tippers. And Raven will step away with a lot of damage. Ninja Kiwi snipes him down. The headshots coming thick and fast in this game.
Ninja Kiwi's got 40% crit chance. That was a crit on his ulti there. Make sure that, honestly, 40% of times Raven dies there, 60% he lives. Rolled the bad RNG, but now without an AD carry, Kabum gonna have to lick their wounds. They did a good enough job though. INTZ, they peeled away from the Baron, they didn't take down that big objective. And now we come back to a fight where Lonely Raven have got those mirror mans. That was without the poke, was a little bit missing, but now those items can be traded. It's gonna get a little more difficult for INTZ. Range is always king in these late game situations, Trajan. And if Kabum can play at that range, if Lonely and Raven can hit the poke without getting engaged on, their composition will do better. Of course, they have to cut through a lot of HP between Yampi and ZZK, and the shielding that is going to come through from Nosferus and Nia should be able to offset some of that. But in a hypothetical, perfect world, Kabum never get touched. They never lose HP, and they whittle away at the INTZ roster.
I'd love to live in that perfect world when I'm playing my games, when I'm playing Ezreal. I just never get aggressed on. I just find my cues, no one touches me. It's the dream, but again, it's going to come down to the execution, right? They've opted into this comp. We need to see them play to its strengths and use it as best as they can. And INTZ, you can see the way they're hovering around. They're looking for angles to fight. Maybe ZZK, Fortnite on the side, a flash and a Ragnarok gets him out of danger. INTZ still aggressively posturing, throws up the Sejuani ultimate. It's a bit harder to Lonely flash away, but Nosferus is already down. Crastiel picks it up as Flawless is in. Flawless is out with a flash and an ult, and just the one kill for nil.
Crastiel there, perfect cask. Catches Nosferus off guard. Didn't even use Tibbs, didn't use that stun. They prepped and primed the whole time and got taken out of the game. Now they get to siege onto a turret, stand around a dragon with a numbers advantage and a poke composition. INTZ, there's a chance that they head toward the Baron and try and threaten that as a response.
Oh, they got him! They got him! The Kiwi has evaporated. Crastiel again takes the credit, and now Kabum. The Baron is wide open, lads. You've got 2 key kills. Both the carries are dead. Is this the time to continue the curse?
They very well try to end this match. That was a very nice Crastial play. Back in 2021, Split 1, Crastial made finals in the CBLOL on a Vorax roster that was exceptional, and this is the highlights, the glory that I'm used to seeing from Crastial. He picks off the mid laner, then picks off the AD carry, turns it into a Baron, and Kabum right back in this game.
Absolutely, another tower picks up mid lane as well. INTZ, they'll get the complimentary dragon there. Commiserations and a Chemtech for this roster that was looking so in control, so steady, so organized and well run once again in this game. But all of a sudden, just like that, it all comes crashing down. Now they're 2k behind, fighting against the Baron's up poke composition to boot.
Exactly the position that Kabum would want to be, and I'm so glad you re-emphasized this poke composition because it thrives when you are sieging on the turrets. There's a tier 2 turret knocking around in that mid lane, but remember all the work that Kabum did earlier on. They were trading objectives for towers. There's a couple dragons in INTZ's favor, yes, but Kabum have taken down a lot of the standing gold on the map. Now if they can move in, take down this mid lane tier 2, they only have the base to break open. Might be a difficult task for Kabum while they're just setting up, making sure that they've got 2 lanes to play through successfully. Kabum just need to make sure that they are pushing down that bot side and pushing into this mid lane at the same time, making sure that they're not overextending in either one of those lanes and allowing Lonely a bit of free time.
You can see Lonely there rounding the corner and thinking, you know what, I'm just going to step back. I'm just not going to go towards that brush. And it's a good call by him with 4 INTZ members waiting for him there. And you need to see this split push come to fruition. You need to see it executed well. On the side of INTZ, I'm watching Yampi and Nosferus. They've got those kind of snap engaged duels. We spoke about Yampi being more proactive in yesterday's game. Maybe finding a way to bring them back in here will solidify that glow up that we have started to see.
I like Crastial's positioning here. He's always got a barrel to make sure that he... Oh, okay.
Commits it anyway, but now he uses the belly bump, buffers it through the Glacial Prison. It's an ult traded on either side, Yampi as well, so hold down the front line. The poke is starting to signature Kiwi on the side, but fires back so boundly himself. Flawless caught up by Tibbers, and Nosferus finds that first kill. Now it's INTZ on the hunt for Kabum. Raven tries to scramble to safety, but he will have no such luck. Ninja Kiwi finds revenge, and the Baron push is stalled.
The ideal situation just doesn't come through for Kabum. They get engaged on, they step too far forward, and Raven falls, Flawless falls trying to save his AD carry. Lonely not able to pump out the poke. You're seeing the power of these shields in juxtaposition to the poke that Kabum have got. Just little bits of damage getting chipped away at isn't enough. Now ultimately, all this does is stops Kabum Baron power play. Means that we're going to go into the late stages of this game with the overwhelming advantage, going to INTZ's objective play early on. Now if they can get this extra bit of gold from the top turret as well, they're not just going to have turrets over, or they're not just going to have objectives over INTZ, but they're going to have the gold as well.
Replay of this fight. We like Crastial's position on the side, but keep an eye on Raven. Watch when he goes a bit too far on Aphelios there.
And we only like Crastial's positioning there because he's supposed to be zoning away Nosferus.
Yeah.
Nosferus just walks past the Gragas, and Crastial has, with no ulti, very little to say to the Annie to try and stop her from walking straight forward. And I love that Nosferus just respects that and goes, if you don't stop me, I'm going to engage. And Yampi as well, just acting as that front line, knows that he's a meat sack that has to be chewed through. Buys enough space for Ninja Kiwi, gives the access and the route to Nosferus to make their way in. A little bit of a missed execution there from Crastial. Need to be a little bit more present when holding that flank.
Yeah, that early burst that we saw a couple of plays ago that got Kabum that Baron when they caught out Ninja Kiwi's Aphelios was so shocking because of how hard it should be to burst this champion. He's got Crescendo Severum, he's got Bloodthirsty, he's got Milio. You can see the shield just sopping up his HP bar there. It's actually very difficult to burst out Aphelios even before the fight is kicked off.
If we take a look at that fourth item getting built up as well, has a Chain Vest in the inventory to get a little bit of damage prevented from Lonely and Raven. Of course, that stopwatch in case he does get dove on, so buys himself 2.5 seconds. When we put those two together, we're going to end up with a Guardian Angel and a bunch of AD from the BS sword as well. Taking down Ninja Kiwi twice, it's going to be an even harder task.
Exactly, maybe choose to start whittling through the front line instead. Now Yampi is starting to feel the sting of these powered shot blasts and these mystic shots. Ezreal even committed just to continue that poke. Leo now stepping over to try and heal them up with the Cozy Campfire. INTZ again, always positioning so confidently, so aggressively in this mid lane, looking for ways to start a fight.
Would have really liked a Warmog start from Yampi here, actually. Forgo that Sunfire, just because you know you have to take the damage anyway. With the Warmog, you could just be healing it up instead of having to commit cozy campfires every single time that it's up off cooldown. Now early on, you can see that it's doing a little bit of work here, and we are setting ourselves up for this soul point fight. Of course, INTZ, they've got themselves out of that. Oh, okay, fight.
Onto Flawless, the clone gets him away, and the cask will split apart INTZ again. It's just an ult trade. The Dragon now up in 5 seconds. INTZ with the soul to potentially pick up as Nia really feels the pain of that shot blast connecting.
Importantly though, Nosferus and Kiwi still full HP. Yampi has been slowly healing up HP. That single ocean doing good work.
The Gravity onto Flawless again, uses the clone to get to safety. Now Kabum retreating towards the Dragon. A lovely Ezreal ult chunks down those squishy targets, and INTZ might have to call the whole thing off.
And this is how the composition should be played by Kabum, constantly staying at range, making sure that INTZ can never find and engage. As soon as that Glacial Prism goes down, it's a lot more difficult for INTZ to start any fights, specifically without Nosferus' Flash. That Annie Engage is the secondary tool that they need to be using, and honestly, they've not been able to find that when there's no Flash ready. Now obviously when the Drake went down, we got to see INTZ do a lot of work in the topside jungle of Kabum. Baron is spawning just now, so as everybody takes their resets and as Kabum redeploy out onto the map, they're going to have to do a bit of due diligence here, making sure that they're getting rid of flank wards, making sure that their jungle is also quite dark.
Well, we might see the full retreat from INTZ. Flawless steps into the river, tries to bait him out, clones back over the wall, and INTZ were waiting to close the trap on him. Nosferus gets the push down in bot lane, now has the flash, has the TP as well to come through, and INTZ once again take up an aggressive position, pushing, forcing their way into the jungle. They want to find that key member of Kabum to catch them out. They've got the burst, they've got the damage now. Perhaps they will start up the Baron themselves, just dare Kabum to try and stop them.
Now Kabum are going to get mid push. I want to highlight the Kentech Rift actually doing a lot of work, giving more plants more access for Kabum to find vision, sniff it out. But they caught Nosferus, but they weren't able to find it. The Baron star, not particularly low just yet.
All commit on two sides right now. The Annie getting forced on, but Kabum, Raven, Flawless, and Yumi trying to escape the four-man squad of INTZ. Annie will be dropped, but can Kabum stay alive on the other frontier? Flawless, he's used his clone, he's got nothing left, but Ezreal survives this time. The 4 versus 4, jungler for mid traded right now. Yampi maybe wants to push it forward. The poke comes out. In comes Kiwi with the ultimate, only the Infernum, but doesn't get a crit this time. Doesn't do too much damage.
Now mid push goes the way of INTZ. Raven playing incredibly brazenly on this front line. Knows he's got that arcane shift and uses it to safety.
Flash away, full quick Ninja Kiwi catches him slipping, and Redbird now abandoned on the other side of the wall. Crashing on Lonely, trying to find ZZK, but they don't quite have the damage. Even Nia survives the barrel, and Kabum, after all that, they are left running for the hills. 2 versus 4. There's some low HP bars on the side of INTZ. Lonely could do some work.
Ninja Kiwi once again steps up, knows that that arcane shift cooldown isn't quite that short. Flashes onto Raven, takes him out the game. No ADC, it's all on Lonely to stop this Baron. Without a jungler there, there's no chance. Shot down by Nosferus, and the Baron goes over as well. Beautiful play by INTZ.
Running right there, such a long fight, such a lengthy engagement, could have gone either way so many times, but INTZ showed the resilience, and Ninja Kiwi specifically shows that class once again, finds the exact moment to engage on Aphelios.
Have to look at these timers from Kabum. You can see Infernum to start off with, Ninja Kiwi zones them away, only gets hit by one, so there's no big damage. And now it is just Ninja Kiwi recognizing, having played enough Ezreal games himself, he knows how long this cooldown is going to be. And as soon as Raven steps just a bit too close, Ninja Kiwi flash forward, gets one auto attack from the Infernum, blocks his guns and immediately change the Q down from the Severin. Gorgeous play by Ninja Kiwi, even sidestepping that barrel so that he can upkeep maximum DPS. Allows INTZ to take that Baron, and as we'd mentioned earlier on Trajan, if Kabum ever get engaged on, their composition falls flat.
Now INTZ have recovered from the significant stumble we saw from them earlier. Back in control of the gold, in control of the waves, and are scaling up so hard with their carries. 4.5 items done for Ninja Kiwi. Nia still does not like the sight of those shock blasts, but Nosferus as well in the Annie, he's completed that second item, the Rabadon's death cap. So much burst coming through from those engages as well. Let's see if INTZ can manage this Baron push a little cleaner than Kabum did.
They've certainly done a good enough job at starting to take down these turrets. Tier 2 in the mid lane On its last legs, honestly, yes, there's going to be a super or a cannon creep every single wave at this stage in the game. So the slowly should get whittled down. And I want to credit Nia a little bit here as well, because as much as he's been taking these accelerated shot blasts, 0-0-11 has been always keeping himself alive, despite not having that flash under the spell. Constantly finds himself in just enough HP to keep himself alive. INTZ with this Baron, they've taken down 2 of those outer turrets, and we'll have to see if they can succeed where Kabum failed, start to try and break open that base. Of course, with the Chemtech Souls spawning in 30 seconds time, maybe their attention is going to be drawn elsewhere.
INTZ this time with the inside track towards the river. Ezreal comes out, Yampi gets engaged on a little bit, takes a bit of damage, Flawless. Trying to escape as well. ZZK and Nostros maybe look for the fight, and Jakiri again. Calling for the fight to continue as Flawless is ticked away. The first to fall is the jungler for Kabum, and now Crastiel runs for safety with no smite on deck. No way to contest this Chemtech troll, surely.
You'd be right there, Trajan. The single worst target to lose before a big objective spawns. Chemtech Soul melee, a formality for INTZ. Baron peters out here, 10 seconds left on that. There's going to be no more turrets to take down, but INTZ are going to be able to push back out onto Summoner's Rift with a Chemtech Soul at their max. An Elder spawning in 5 minutes time, and that is of course the great equalizer, a chance for Kabum maybe to find a fight then. Because with no Baron buff for 3 minutes time, we may well enter a bit of a quiet point of this game. Where Kabum don't have to feel too pressured, they can just clear their waves and hopefully set themselves up in the top side of their own jungle to start putting some poke back down. As soon as that Baron respawns, it's when INTZ are going to put their pedal to the floor.
So what is the path forward for Kabum here with this poke composition that looked like it took control, didn't quite make it work, now has fallen decidedly behind. The Aphelios has scaled up, Annie is, getting towards that third item. What is Kabum's way to break this game back open? Because the poke just doesn't seem to be working out too well for them this far.
I want them to just try at it. It's what their composition does, unfortunately. They're not going to have any success doing anything other than poke. What I'd like to see is actually put Crastiel in the side lane, try and get him to answer the Olaf. Just clear the waves away and use Lonely to keep on being that poke force, because he's been doing a lot of damage with it, but if he's managing side lanes every time, it gets harder and harder for him to be in position.
Oh, Nosferatu splashes over. Lonely escapes, doesn't even take damage as well, so that is an engaged tool off the board. Fast fingers for Lonely to get out of dodge there.
I don't think that was worth it for Nosferatu at all. I don't think they're going to end the game off of that kill. You know what, maybe in a 3v5 they could have ended, so it's an opportunity there wasted and missed by Nosferatu. The tippers actually went wide, hence giving Lonely the time to flash away. But with Kabum now, without that flash tool on Lonely, that Jace is a lot more susceptible to going down, and you can see actually that recently Redbird has taken up residency on the Jace as opposed to the Ezreal, just to try and give that extra element of safety.
Charge through the jungle once again, will walk stoically forward into the lack of vision, but will not take any damage. The Sejuani, massive on the front line right now with 3 items completed. Raven trying to poke him down. Nostros takes a fair bit of damage. Flawless could look for more, but a Glacial Prison will stifle him. Kiwi takes control of the waves again. Boom. Death Never means Kiwi goes in for the 1 versus 4, and no one can stop him. No one's even fighting back, rude dude. Kiwi is just too damn strong.
We highlight this AD carry for a reason. Now Lonely goes to ZZK, able to get away. No ulti burned by the Olaf, importantly. But Ninja Kiwi there, stepping forward, knows his opportunity and knows what his champion is capable of. Dashing forward rather with the Gale Force. Full build on the Aphelios. Doesn't even burn flash. More than happy to step up to those positions. And again, this is an AD carry that we've been saying is the bright point of INTZ, and it's for this reason. Constantly looking to have that killer instinct, the lethal intentions behind every single click on his mouse, every single button that he presses on that keyboard is with the intention of taking out the enemy team.
Love the confidence with the GA. He knows that even if he dies first off, the team's going to come in to support him with the Chemtech Soul on his back as well. This kind of Aphelios play is so terrifying to go up against, as INTZ now returning to the Baron pit. The purple worm spawns in once again. It's gone 1 apiece so far. Kabum really need to find some sort of miracle steal here, or this game is just going to be done.
Yompi's finally built himself up that Warmog's armor. It's such a powerful item versus poke compositions. It means that even if they hit the Sejuani, just a little bit of time out of combat and they're going to be back to full HP, back to being able to absorb these shot blasts, be the front line that INTZ need. Bastial poking up toward that top side. Both of these mid laners are looking for flanks. If either one of them can get onto the enemy AD carry, could very easily break open this game and start to win a team fight for their squad. But look at Ninja Kiwi. Flash ready, full build, and red-white weapons. He's ready to take a fight.
He's ready to get stuck in right now. Baron down below 5k. INTZ peeling away, trying to clear for Lonely. They're going to Graciel instead. The cast splits up the team, but it doesn't get him out. Mid laner for mid laner, traded so far, but Aphelios is completely unmatched right here. No one can hope to question this man as ZZK runs down flawless to end another dominant team fight for INTZ. The curse might just be done, Rude Dude. They're pushing into the base.
Without having won 2 games in a weekend since 2021, INTZ will break the curse, will go 2-0 on the weekend, and end round 4 at 3-1.
What a performance from INTZ. The resilience shown, another banger early game from them, but they didn't have to just walk